What is up?
I'm back.
Time? He's back.
I loved your face there, TJ. I clicked the wrong button on one of my windows I had going up here. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Crunch Time here on a Saturday afternoon, evening, depending on where you are. I am Britt Devine with the confused Mr. Agents of Fandom himself. TJ was not ready for that intro, but now I'm sure TJ is ready. What's going on, dude?
I wasn't ready to do the show solo, but if I had to, I was ready to figure it out on the fly. I'm ready to adapt at a quick pace. One of the reasons I like NBA DFS, but there shouldn't be too much adapting to do. We just got the Lakers starting lineup, and the rest should be pretty straightforward from here on out.
Yeah, I'm not expecting any surprises. I think we know all the news, barring NBA randomness on the weekend. I mean, am I correct in that?
Yeah, 100%. I think that's where we're at right now.
All right. So with that out of the way, TJ, it's just 3 games. We're not expecting any injury news. What, we can wrap this up in about 10 minutes, you think? I'm just kidding.
I mean, having said that, like there is kind of a lot to go through, I feel like, because we got no AD tonight, obviously. An interesting starting lineup for the Lakers with Pat Bev suspended and Schroeder and Thomas Bryant back in the lineups. Especially on Fanduel, the Spurs are just absolutely popping in projections, and so we got a interesting little slate for despite it only being 3 games.
Yeah, so I'm going to start with our sponsor FanDuel. I'll basically handle cash games in theory, but TJ, you can feel free to jump in whenever you have a point to make or anything like that. So I got 3 guys I think you've got to have on the slate on FanDuel. I've got SGA, you got to like him. Huge projection. We've got him at 52 FanDuel points. Dude's basically scoring 30 plus a game. It's against Houston, huge total. And you can get to him now because you have some Lakers value. So absolutely love SGA. Keldon Johnson, I think on both sites is going to be a staple. Definitely on FanDuel. We've got him at 70% ownership. He's probably going to be 99, maybe not 99, 95%-ish in cash games over there. Dude just needs to make some shots. We were talking pre-show. What do you go? 6 for 23, 2 for 9, 4 for 20, 5 for 15, 6 for 14, 5 for 15. I don't know, TJ. Maybe he just stinks and actually can't make shots. But if these shots go in, he's looking like he's going to have a pretty nice night. And then it's really tough to not play LeBron from a cash game perspective without AD. I'm expecting him to play 32 to 34 minutes. Be ultra involved, probably get a double, maybe in line for a double-double, have a ton of points, be able to facilitate as well. Basically, the entire offense is going to run through him. Wasn't on him with AD in, but with AD out, I think you got to play LeBron on FanDuel. Do you have any beef with any of those 3 players being sort of the core? There's just enough mid-range value and even some cheap guys that you can make it's not superstars on scrubs, right? But it's stars and scrubsy if you consider SGA and LeBron still a star, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And I think those are the necessary cash game building blocks as well that are kind of a must for you on this slate. I'd even maybe want to plug in a couple Utah guys in there as well, but they may not necessarily be quote unquote core musts. And so I think that's the perfect 3 to start it with.
Yeah, you can mix it up. If you're going at point guard, I'll just run through the rest of the positions on our sponsor, FanDuel. You got a couple of options. You've got the Jalen Green, Cam Payne. I would prefer Green over Payne if you're sort of deciding between those 2. But if you can't afford the extra 200, I think Payne is a nice consolation prize, and I definitely prefer both of those over Trey Jones, who's at 6,400. And then you've got like the Clarksons. Giddey's interesting. But you never really, I expect Giddey to probably get a lot of run, but that OKC second half rotations can do a lot of weird stuff. But I'm basically with SGA and one of Green or Payne. Moving to shooting guard, Vassell, someone I'm really high on tonight. I'm expecting him to have a pretty big game at just 7,100. I know our projection on him is really good for the price. You're probably looking at one of like a Dort, a Sexton, or a Lonnie Walker for that second spot. So any one of those. I think I prefer Walker at this point. But if you have a couple extra bucks, I like Dort and Sexton. It's really hard to argue with him, expecting him to have a nice amount of minutes tonight against Phoenix. Moving on to small forward, we already mentioned Keldon Johnson. You can go. How did we pronounce this? I forgot already. I looked this up right before.
Sohan. If you've ever watched Dragon Ball Z before, it's like Goku's son, but with an H instead of a G.
I did not. That show never made it into my rotation. I just want to point out his last game. He basically hit season highs in every statistic. So don't expect that sort of game from him. He did play, minutes 35, rebounds 9, season high, assists 5, season high, steals 4, season high, 13 points, 14's a season high. So don't expect 44 fantasy points. He obviously has the upside to put up multiple statistics across the board. And when the steals and blocks come through on FanDuel, it works out good. Just tone down your expectations for him sort of into the low to mid 20s. I think that's where we have him around projected. But just keep that in mind when you're playing for him. Power forward, we've got LeBron in there. I think you got to play him. A couple other players, you could play Olynyk. He's at power forward. If you have a couple of bucks, I think he's fine. And then you're in like the Sohan, Kenyon Martin, Zach Collins tier. I'm going to ask you to rank these guys, right? Because they're all basically within a fantasy point of each other on our projections, TJ. If you had to choose Zach Collins, Kenyon Martin, Sohan, how do we rank those three tonight?
For me, it would be Zach Collins 1, Sohan 2 for cash games, maybe even 1 for cash games, and then Kenyon Martin 2 for tournaments, but 3 for cash games.
All right,
and so I'd rank Sohan is bottom of the barrel for tournaments, maybe top of the top for cash games, because he's going to see the most minutes out of those three. And so just with I'd probably rather take the minute safety in cash games, but Zach Collins definitely has the highest upside because he could block 5 shots. And then Kenyon Martin, if Şengün's a bit off, he's maybe not quite fully healthy, he gets limited minutes, they go small, and Kenyon Martin plays at the 5, then he could have a big game as well. But from a straight cash standpoint, I'd probably go Sohan, and for tournaments, it's Zach Collins.
All right. And then do you prefer, if you had a choice, you can play Thomas Bryant or Zach Collins at center tonight? Who would be your preference from the cash game perspective? I think a lot of people are going to have those questions. I'm leaning Thomas Bryant currently, but I also have Collins at the power forward position. So I don't know if I'm cheating, but that's where I stand currently.
I love Thomas Bryant tonight. He was one of my favorite tournament plays if he was going to be coming off the bench. Now that he's going to be a starter, he's just straight up, I think, the lock for cash games and still a very good tournament play.
All right. So that's basically the cash rundown for me on our sponsor FanDuel. A lot of that's going to translate onto DraftKings, which we'll get to in just a minute. I'm going to turn it over to TJ for tournament takes. We've got guys. It's a 3-game slate. Lots of ownership. Well, actually here, I've got to see what LeBron's projected at here. I'm going to refresh this. Of all the highest owned players, who's someone, on 3-game slates, I'm not doing GPPs tonight. Who would be, I have no problem locking in players on a 3-game slate, even 1, 2, or 3 of them in tournaments to get 100% exposure. Who would be players who could possibly receive that from you tonight?
Probably LeBron and Shai. I'd probably lock both of them in tournaments, get 100% so that I'd get over the field on Shai, over the field on LeBron by probably double both. And then I just mix and match all the different value in this slate because, maybe Devin Booker ends up being the optimal spend up tonight, but I don't think it's impossible to get all 3 of those guys in a lineup. And we just have so much mid-tier potential value tonight that if I was running 150, I would just be playing SGA and LeBron James in every single one of my lineups and then mixing and matching from there. In the mid-tier, these guys like Kevin Porter, Devin Vassell, Lauri Markkanen, DeAndre Ayton. My priorities for tournaments is going to be Vassell. I think he just has the highest ceiling of the group. And the person I'd be most likely to get underweight on in tournaments would be Keldon Johnson, just because it's a 3-game slate, and that is a just crazy amount of ownership. I get that he's way underpriced, but if he gets under 40 points, which look, when was the last time he scored over 40 points? You're fine. I'd be willing to get away from him in tournaments. The biggest thing I'm struggling with right now is just in my lineup, I have 4 Lakers in it. I love the Lakers. One of the other things I like doing today is just like sticking to a game and stacking it under the impression that if one stays particularly closer right till the end than the other, that could be some bonus extra minutes for us. But that's kind of the biggest question I have for me is, do I play a chalky Keldon Johnson or do I leave salary on the table to get different? He's by far the best projected play point per dollar on the slate. So it feels like it just makes sense to plug him in, but will my lineup then be the rest as everyone else's? If I didn't have 4 Lakers in my lineup, it would be an easy, swap right off, leave that money on the table. However, because I do have those 4 Lakers, it has me thinking, I kind of want to have as many Spur runbacks as possible.
Yeah, I'm looking, it's across positions, but I don't know if you're on lineup HQ, you sort by salary. Keldon Johnson, 6,100. I'm going to give you the players closest in salary across the whole board who might be able, in salary, and you tell me if these guys could outproduce Keldon Johnson tonight.
It's Poku. It's Poku or Jalen Smith. Like, that's the answer. It's, do I want to play Poku Jabari Smith? Do I want to play Alexei Pokusevsky, who's starting at the 5, or Jabari Smith today? That's the toughest struggle that I'm currently getting. And then the same thing, it's the 2. I have to play 2 of 3 between Lou Dort, Lonnie Walker, and Colin Sexton. And that's the toughest thing I'm struggling with right now. As it stands currently, I'm planning on going with the basically just full Lakers and Spurs approach. But as we get closer to lock here, that could still change.
All right. I'm going to switch it over to DraftKings, guys. Keep your questions coming either in the NBA Crunch Time Discord or on YouTube. We'll get to those in just a second. And before I switch away from Fanduel, they are the sponsor of the show. If you're playing football tomorrow, we have the single entry series going on. Make sure to check that out as the best tournament in the industry. I think when I opened the Fanduel app today, I got a pop-up for the single entry series. So they're really pushing it. It's a great thing. 1 entry. There's like a final. I know there's some people who did good last week. Let's see. We've got Ledespo, Tef3, and Puck Rat. Those were the 3 winners from last week's. Make sure to check it out. It's a great series for NFL on FanDuel. And also FanDuel, on Scores and Odds, FanDuel has, it seems like it's a nationwide promotion for tomorrow of same-game parlays for NFL. I generally don't dabble in those, but this is too good. It's if you bet $200 worth of same-game parlays, they've got to be plus 400 or better. Looks like you get $100 in free bets. So you're taking some long shots, but if you spread that out across maybe 4 or 8, different same-game parlays, you get that $100 in free bets. You just hit one of those, you're golden. So make sure to check that out. I noticed that today. I'm going to put a couple up on Scores and Odds, I think, later tonight. But that is a really great promo from FanDuel from the sportsbook side. So make sure to check that out. All right, let's go to DraftKings. The players you must have over there. It's sort of the same guys. Keldon Johnson, LeBron James. I got Thomas Bryant for sure on DraftKings at just 3,500. Got to play him. His ownership percentage is going to be very high. The rest of the lineup, you can make some executive decisions across the board. There's a couple of different ways to make some teams. At point guard, you've got, let's see here. Let me sort by fantasy points. Trey Jones is just 6K. So if you put his projection in at 6K, it looks pretty good. I would like to play like a Payne or a Jalen Green or a Kevin Porter. They're just a little bit too high. Of course, you can get SGA if you want to plug him in at point guard as well. He's close to a must play. You can move him around the lineup a little bit more. But it's basically SGA, Trey Jones. I like Colin Sexton too. Sexton has dual position eligibility. So if you're struggling at the next position of shooting guard, you can throw him in there. I like him quite a bit. I do like the Giddies, the Lonnie Walkers. Giddy probably, I know he's popping in some optimals, not the one I was looking at personally. So I'm more in the Colin Sexton, Lonnie Walker range over on DraftKings at the shooting guard position. At small forward, I mentioned Keldon Johnson. You're probably going to want to play him. You've got his Gabriel multi-position eligibility, or he's just power forward, it looks like. So at the power forward, you've got Wayne and Gabriel, who's basically he's like the cheap piece that I'm not really comfortable with. He's going to get his, 20 to 24 minutes tonight. But what he does is he just gives you X fantasy points, right? Probably under 20. We've got him projected at 17, but it's a 3-game slate, and this allows you to get LeBron and SGA and a couple other big guns in there, along with Thomas Bryant trying to save to go a little bit more stars and scrubsy. That's my preferred build on DraftKings tonight. So I like Gabriel at the power forward position. If you didn't want to go ultra stars and scrubsy, you've got LeBron already. I think Markkanen's fine. 8,100 is probably about the most I would pay for him. You've got Sokan. He's 4,300 if you needed another glue piece that's a little bit more expensive than Gabriel. I think he's fine. And you've got Martin as well. But I think me and TJ both like Sohan for the cash games if you're going sort of choosing between those two tonight. Center is pretty simple on DraftKings tonight. I would like to spend on a guy like Ayton or a guy like Jacob Poeltl. Or even Kelly Olynyk, but DraftKings has blessed us with Thomas Bryant at 3,500, and they're giving us Zach Collins at 4,200. These two just look too cheap. Again, allow you to get the stars and scrubs build. That's how I'm playing to get SGA, to get LeBron into your lineups. So I'm going a little bit cheaper than the Olynyks, a little bit cheaper than the Ayton or Poeltls over on DraftKings tonight. Anything different on DK from a tournament perspective, TJ, from you? Is like anything salary wise? I guess the one guy's Colin Sexton, who seems to be a little bit cheaper. He's getting starters minutes. Now, he didn't play the full game last game. I think Nickel Alexander Walker came in and basically took some of his minutes to close. I don't think that's very likely to happen again. It could. What are you expecting out of Sexton tonight? Because that price on DraftKings is looking pretty nice.
Yeah, it looks really nice, but also I agree with you. I don't think it happens again with Nickel Alexander Walker. But the fact that no one is playing him and it absolutely could happen again would make me want to get heavily over the field on him today. So for cash games, so I'd have 5 staples for cash games. It'd be Shai, it'd be Dennis Schroeder, LeBron James, Thomas Bryant, and Colin Sexton. Those would be like the necessary things for me. Schroeder is announced in the starting lineup. Yes, Russell Westbrook is going to come in and play a lot of minutes off the bench, but they're still undermanned, and I love Dennis Schroeder in the starting spot at just so cheap on DraftKings today. So I'd lock in those 3 Lakers as well as Shai, and then I'd build a rule in lineup HQ that I would want to have one of Colin Sexton, Malik Beasley, and Nickel Alexander Walker in every single lineup.
So you're just getting the upside of one of them, hopefully.
Exactly. One of them will be closing, and one of them will be playing 30-plus minutes. We just don't know which one. And so I'd want to make sure I get at least one of them in every lineup, maximum 2 of them. Or maybe just, one of them in every lineup. And then if I were to get a secondary guard, it'd be Jordan Clarkson. That's kind of how I would want to handle this, because one of these Utah cheap guards is going to have a big day. We just don't know which one yet. I'd want to lock in the value of Thomas Bryant and Dennis Schroeder under 4K, expected to get at least 25 minutes in this spot. And then I'd also want to lock in the points of SGA and LeBron James.
Who's like, so I like Alexander Walker as like a really low owned guy. No one's going to play. You can mix in Malik Beasley into that as well. He's coming in at low ownership. I think those are 2 great calls. They both happen to be from Utah. Do you have like a deep sleeper from any other team? Someone I'm eyeing from a tournament perspective would probably be maybe like a Damian Lee from Phoenix tonight. He has the ability to get hot and pour in some points. He's been having some good games. Don't mind him at 4,100. If you're just looking for somebody to mix in as a one-off that could outperform some of these players everybody's playing, I think Lee, Beasley, and Walker's a real long shot. But I think Lee, and I like the Beasley call, trying to get him into some lineups as well. Anyone else ringing a bell for you?
Yeah, I don't think I'd be super keen on Damian Lee just because Landry Shamet is back, and so that should kind of bump Damian Lee down from mid-20s to low 20s, high teens. And so with that, I don't think I really want to get there. But like if I was running 100, 150, he'd be in my pool, just not really a priority for me. I would definitely get over the field on a guy like Talen Horton-Tucker as well on the Jazz, who hasn't been getting a ton of minutes the last couple games, but it's a 3-game slate that could change at any point. It was Nickeil Alexander-Walker last game. Just 4 or 5 games ago, it was Horton Tucker, and he played 30-plus minutes. So I'd mix in a little bit of him as well as a super cheap piece. I would definitely want to get over the field on the 20% projected for Zach Collins that we have right now.
Poku, you mentioned him on FanDuel, but Poku's some guy I would have no problem being over the field on.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm kind of going late games to early. On the Lakers, the guys I like getting over the field on in tournaments are Russell Westbrook, Lonnie Walker, and then Dennis Schroeder. I don't think enough people are going to be getting to him now that he's confirmed in the starting lineup. I think this 25 minutes it should be closer to 27, 28. And the switch to him in the starting lineup will probably get his ownership higher than about 11, but I don't think it'll be much higher than like 20, 25. And so I'd want to get heavily overweight on that. Alexei Pokusevsky, that power forward eligibility, love it. Another one of my favorite tournament plays is going to be Jalen Williams at 4,400. Like, that's the guy I'd rather go to in bunches over somebody like Damian Lee. I'd just rather play a bunch of Jalen Williams at dual position eligibility, $4,400, not getting much ownership and in the starting lineup. So that's, I think, where I'd want to take a peek. Trey Mann is back in the lineup for OKC. If I was running 150, I'd take shots on him in tournaments. And then on the Houston side, with Şengün back, none of these bigs in the starting lineup. It does, outside of him in the starting lineup, like, it does worry me getting to a guy like KJ Martin or Usman Garuba or Terry Eason, like, because Martin is getting 25% ownership. I think he's the one that I'd be even with the field or a little less on if I was running 150. And then I'd be making sure I get 5 to 10% of Terry Eason or Usman Garuba, just in case they're the ones who pick up a little extra minutes off the bench today.
All right. Good summary from TJ there. I'm going to turn this into questions, get them in on the Discord.
One more play quick that I forgot to mention that I really like for tournaments is Jabari Smith, 5,800. He's priced appropriately, but the ownership isn't appropriate for a 3-game slate. Like, he should be probably 20% owned. And so because of that, I'm getting to him in my one tournament lineup on Fanduel today. One of my 2, because I just split it in 2.
All right. Couple questions. I'm going to get them from the Discord for the premium members. First, Carolina guy wants to know, short slate, single entry tournaments. How do you get different? More of a cash game build and get different in some positions? How do you handle something like this, TJ? This is more up your alley than mine.
I think the answer is just you fade Keldon Johnson. Like, I honestly think it's that simple. You don't play Keldon Johnson and you fill out the rest of your lineup any way you want. You make sure you get one player that's like sub 20% owned, and that's probably going to be enough to get different, where he is going to be 50% owned on DraftKings, 70% owned in high dollar stuff on FanDuel.
All right. Achilles wants to know, DraftKings cash, Giddey and Pirtle or Booker and Collins. To me, that would be Booker and Collins, but I would try to turn Booker into SGA somehow and get SGA and Collins if you could do that, Achilles. Where do you stand on that, TJ?
Agreed. That would be under the assumption that they're doing a ton of value and SGA is already there, because I think SGA is a 100% must. But I agree. It's the Booker set.
All right. Do you like the Lakers to win outright tonight? So I haven't. I've made no outright bets on the NBA tonight, personally. So I don't know. I don't have a take on that. I've been working the fantasy angles for the show tonight. So what do you think, TJ? You got a lean on that at all?
I don't. I like the Lakers for DFS a lot more for betting. My thought process is just at this stage in their careers, I think AD is the star is the one that stirs the drink a little bit more than LeBron, especially now that he's finally playing at the center, where he's arguably one of the most dominant defensive players in the NBA at that position. So I would just rather load up on them in DFS. But if I was going to go with one bet, it would probably be on OKC for this one.
All right. Cranesters is an interesting one. So I mentioned it when we were talking. The OKC, their rotations can get really weird. And they did say, what's his name? Ousmane Dieng's in the lineup. I saw it in there. He posted one big game already this year. He's been pretty good in the G League. What's like? I got to see what our minutes projection is for him. So we've got. I mean, do we not even have a minutes projection for him? I got to check this. The coach said he's going to be in the rotation tonight.
Yeah, we got him projected for 13 minutes right now, which doesn't give him any fantasy viability. We have randomly seen him pop in there and have a good day before. He would just go in, play 20, 23 minutes, but I honestly still don't think he's necessary. Maybe I'd put him in a single lineup if I was running 150, 3 tops, but that's it.
Definitely too cute for like a single entry or 3 max. If you're playing a lot of lineups, maybe a very small percentage, but it gets, I don't know, 3-game slate. Oklahoma City can get weird. Stranger things have happened in the NBA than Dieng having himself a nice night tonight. So I don't absolutely hate it, but I think it's still
I'd rather, if I was doing super cheap, like I don't think it's really necessary on FanDuel than on DraftKings. If I was doing super cheap OKC, if Jalen Williams isn't cheap enough for me because it is different enough, I would go with the likes of Trey Mann or Darius Baisley.
All right, that's going to do it for. Oh wait, no, yeah, that's it for Discord. I'm going to run over to YouTube real quick. Let's see here. Cam Middleton wanted to know for cash, Sochan and Olynyk, or wait.
Yeah, it didn't say for cash or
yeah, he came in here
because it's DK.
That is you responding. Never mind.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I like to answer in the YouTube chat in case we only hit the Discord first and don't get to them. Which on that note, make sure you hit the likes, guys. We got over 150 people watching and only 25 likes right now. Free content sponsored by FanDuel on giving up our Saturday time here. Let's hit the like button to help us out. Yeah, I think it's for tournaments. It would be the Collins and Beasley side. For cash, I would probably go with Olynyk and Lonnie. And just like, I really like these Utah guards for tournaments. A lot of people are going to be playing Colin Sexton. Nobody's getting to Nickeil Alexander-Walker or Malik Beasley. So I think they both make for phenomenal tournament plays, especially on DK.
Yeah, Beasley, if his ownership is the 2.5% or whatever, I think that's close to what we have projected. If it really is that on a 3-game slate, that's definitely an over. He's, it's a 3-game slate. I think he's going to be a little bit higher than that. But even if he's 7%, if you have 15%, you're double the field. Or he's not even someone on a smaller slate you can go 25% on. And I think I actually feel reasonably good about that tonight. So I don't hate.
Well, because he has that small forward eligibility too, and so like I think if I was playing on DK tonight, which at this point I kind of wish that I was, I'd probably get like 25-30% Beasley, 30 to 40% Sexton, which same as the field, 15% to 20% Nickeil Alexander-Walker, just so if it's the repeat of last night, I will win all of the money. And then I'd get 5% Talen Horton-Tucker too, mixing in him as well. I think this Utah value, or even a little bit of this OKC value, Poku, if not Poku, then Jalen Williams, Trey Mann, Darius Baisley. I think those could be the kind of keys to winning a tournament tonight.
All right. Here's a good one from Achilles, and I'm going to mix it up a little. You want Troy Brown or Wayne and Gabriel? You got to pick one from a cash game perspective tonight.
Shoot, you probably need that super quick. I would go, how many minutes has Troy Brown been playing? He's in the starting lineup. I'd go with Brown just because he's starting in cash.
Yeah, I would take Brown as well. I forgot to mention him, but yes, Brown just did make it.
I would Brown better for cash and Gabriel better for tournaments. I think Gabriel has more upside, but Brown starting just has that minutes for.
All right, and then Carolina guy want to know Campaign or Jalen Green FanDuel single entry. These guys are so close. I think I would take Jalen Green for sure for the upside. I know Payne's been showing it, but Green for sure I think has a little bit more. I would play him.
I'd go Payne.
Yeah, I think. I won't argue with it. Me personally, Green, you Payne. Well, Payne's been playing
straight up. I like Payne, but having said that, like if I had a ton of OKC players, I'd go Green, and if I had a couple Utah guys, I'd go Payne.
Yeah, that makes total sense to me. Let's see here. Yeah, click the like button as TJ mentioned. Check out our sponsor FanDuel. Don't forget that FanDuel single entry series for NFL, a great little tournament. They've got going on, partnered with RotoGrinders, and make sure to check out that same game parlay promo that Fanduel has. If you have $200 of same game parlays this weekend, make sure to read it. I think they got to be plus 400 or better total. You get $100 in free bets. So I already mentioned this. I don't play the same game parlays too often, but this one I'm going to take some shots on it, right? And maybe even maybe even make them a little bit of a longer shot, right? Because you're getting $100 back no matter what, as long as you spend 200. So that is a really nice promo from FanDuel. Make sure to check that out. And I would advise you to take some shots on that as long as your bankroll can afford it. I don't really see any other questions. A couple other people are typing. It looks like the YouTube chat is out of questions. I see, yep, that's me writing in Discord.
We'll get his absurd to me. Wow. And the $25, $50 NBA single entry stuff. What do you think LeBron is owned?
Like a $50 tournament?
Yeah.
Like I would expect him to be like 60, 70% owned.
You'd think I would think on a 3-game slate with so little to pay up for and so much value, I'd think like even if it was upper 70s, it wouldn't surprise me.
What's it coming in at?
In the $50, he's 55%, and in the $25, he's only 45%.
Yeah, it seems a little low for me. The favorite 2-pick power for tomorrow's football slate. So we're getting a competitor, not FanDuel. That would be Latavius Murray over 11.5 receiving yards, and pair that with a Mark Andrews over 5 receptions. You can go get that on a site to not be named, but that would be my favorite 2-pick power. I have plenty of American dollars on that one. The Latavius Murray one specifically, I have about 50 different cards with that in there. So love Latavius Murray over 11.5 receiving yards. You can go bet that on FanDuel too, by the way. And I wrote that up on Scores and Odds if you wanted to check that out. All right, TJ, that's going to be it. So TJ, you do the movies. Is Avatar, is that up your alley? Are you going to see that, or does that not count into what you're into for the Agents of Fandom?
So it definitely, we'll definitely be covering it. We'll have a review up. We'll and be covering it on YouTube and stuff like that. But for me personally, it doesn't hit like my fandom, and so that's one of the beauties of Agents of Fandom. There was 3 of us when we started the website in March, and now there's 30 of us, and so we're able to cover a wide spectrum of interest because we kind of have someone for everything. But doesn't really do it for me. It just it's never really
I like the first one.
To me, it's some like, yes, it's really cool visuals, but I'm a story guy. And
it was cool then. I like technology. I've seen the previews and I'm like, technology's advanced so much. It like, I don't know. It's just another movie to me now. And I know my wife loves Disney, and I like going to the best ride at Disney is the Avatar ride for sure. But like, I don't know. I'm not rushing to go out and see it at the theater or anything like that. Granted, I can't really do that with a newborn baby anyway, but it's just, I don't know. I really like the first one, and I thought it was pretty good. I'm sure at some point I'll watch it, but it's just, I feel like technology's caught up, because wasn't that like the first 3D or the first something type of movie like that in theaters?
Yeah, it was the first one that was done like really well. Yeah. And just the thing is, it's like really cool visuals, and now with the increased technology, it's going to be even cooler, especially if you get go in a really big theater to watch it. But it's just there was never a lot of story there in the first one, so it was just it never got me that excited. Yeah, it was cool to look at, but not a whole lot else for me.
Yeah, Protect the Planet stories, those will get rehashed quite a bit in Hollywood, and that's sort of what the Avatar is. Not that I don't want to protect the planet. But I guess I'll have to see what the second. Wasn't too impressed with the trailer I saw. I think it was like a 3-minute trailer. I'll have to see. I'm sure I'll go see it at some point, but I'm sort of with you. Not as interested as I thought I would be in it at the moment. All right. Movie time's over, TJ. We're going to get out of here. Thanks to everybody for watching. Click the like button on the way out. Good luck in your DFS games. If you're playing NFL tomorrow, tune in for all the shows. Go to FanDuel. Check out that single entry. Get in the same game parlay promo. That looks pretty juicy. And have a good night. For TJ, I'm Britt. Thanks for watching, and we out ya.